welcome back to episode 12 of Business Newsletter Recap. I'm your host, Nathan Pohl, digital marketer by day at Tommy's Express and chronic side hustler and business nerd by night. If this is your first time listening, the goal of the show is to bring you the highlights of some of the top business newsletters out there in podcast format, so you can get curated reading done on the go. Each episode is about 15 minutes and brings you insights from 3 top newsletters that I found actionable. If you really like any of them, I'll include the links to sign up for them for yourself and follow the creators on social media in the show notes. Today's episode covers the illusion of control, example interview questions from the largest companies in the world, and a tip to improve your internal communication. Our first feature of the day is from The Psychology of Marketing, one of my favorite newsletters in my inbox every week. They're a marketing media company with a couple of different newsletters that are great for anyone looking to stay up to date on marketing trends and tactics. But The Psychology of Marketing is their most valuable. I believe it has never been more important to understand people and how they think if you want to sell to them or grow a business. Go back to episode 1 and 5 if you want to hear their coverage of the endowment effect and the labor illusion. Today we're covering the illusion of control from one of their recent newsletters, which is the bias people have where they feel like they have more control over a situation than they actually do. It is probably no surprise that people love to feel in control. It's why elevators have door close buttons, even though most of them don't do anything, why craps players roll dice with more force when they need to roll a high number, or why founders and investors take more credit for their big wins when luck and external factors played a massive role. Humans naturally like to feel in control of their surroundings. This was backed up by a scientific study in the 70s where 2 groups of study participants had to answer some trivia questions. The catch was a loud buzzer kept going off. One group just had to deal with the buzzer while they answered the questions, while the other group were given a button that could supposedly stop the buzzer during their test, but they were strongly advised against pushing it. Even though no one actually stopped the buzzer in the second group, they were able to focus and perform better on the test because they were under the illusion that they had control of the situation, even though both groups took the test with the same physical conditions. There are a couple of key ways that you can put this bias to work for your business and sell more product that the newsletter calls out. The first is to offer your customers choices. Options to customize a product, bundle software tools, or simply choose from different price tiers puts control in your customers' hands. Warby Parker is a great example. You can order samples of glasses frames that ship to your house to try on for free, so you can choose the best style that fits you. Now, they do put a limit on how many you can include so that they don't overwhelm customers with too many choices, but giving them options and not forcing them to go to their eye doctor makes customers feel at ease and in control, a great recipe for more sales. The second tactic is to use verbal cues on your website that indicate your customer is in control. Phrases like, pick the features that fit your needs, and choose your payment method subtly give the illusion of control, even though ultimately customers have no choice but to pay. Going through your website copy and using words like select, choose, and pick instead of commands like pay now, shipping method, or proceed to checkout can have a tangible impact on your conversion rates. Finally, the newsletter calls out the use of questionnaires to help customers seem like they picked out the best option for them. A lot of websites offer brief surveys that end with a seemingly customized recommendation, when in reality, there might not be that many different possible options. However, this gives your customer the feeling that rather than looking at 4 different product or package options, they got a customized solution where they controlled the inputs. Hey, quick break here. If you're listening to this show, I know you're busy and you don't have time for fluff. You're looking for the highlights, the best of the best, the hidden gems. And that's exactly what you get in the Marketer Gems newsletter. Twice a week, you'll get the sharpest marketing insights, the best new tools, and campaign deep dives that you'll actually learn from. There's no filler, no AI regurgitation, just pure, high-impact marketing intelligence. If you like this podcast, you're going to like this newsletter. Join me and thousands of others and subscribe now at marketergems.com. Again, that's marketergems.com. I'll have a link in the show notes for you. Now, back to the show. The next newsletter highlight of the episode is Just Go Grind, written by Justin Gordon. Justin is a deal scout, venture capital partner, and startup founder community leader, all on top of writing deep dives on top founders of past and present. His newsletter goes out to over 23,000 readers in the startup world, and I have to give him a shout out for the cool new rebrand he just did with his website and newsletter. Be sure to check it out through the link in the show notes. In today's edition, Justin compiles an impressive list of interview questions from some of the top companies in the world, and why they use them to select the best talent out there. If you're going to be hiring soon, make sure you have your Notes app open to write these down. Justin shares that structured interviews are becoming standard practice, especially with big companies. Rather than asking a lot of questions going over a resume, which can lead to different questions for different candidates, they ask a series of questions in the exact same order to every candidate that reveals how they think and problem solve while uncovering additional information about their past experience. These answers can either be scored or anecdotally compared across multiple candidates. Justin shares a ton of sample questions used by some of the biggest companies in the world in his newsletter, and I've picked out 5 to highlight today. The first question he lists comes from Amazon and is one that I love and have posted about before. They ask, describe a time when the data and the results of a project were completely different than your expectations, and how did you react to this? This measures someone's flexibility and commitment to being data-driven. If you truly work off of data, you're eventually going to have data that goes against your expectations. Similarly, if you claim you expected everything that you saw, that either means that you are wildly intelligent, or more likely didn't have a good idea of what to expect your data to tell you, whatever you were working on. This next question is from Apple. Describe a time when you disagreed with a leader's decision, and how did you handle it? This is a great way to assess interpersonal communication and conflict management. Candidates could frame their answer in a variety of ways, such as playing the victim or trying to stand up for what was right in the face of pressure from a leader, and can reveal a lot about character as well. I really like this one from Meta about prioritization. How do you prioritize work and communicate that prioritization across organizations? It reminds me of the Tim Ferriss quote, where he says, doing something well that is unimportant does not make that task important. Figuring out how an employee prioritizes their time and work can reveal a lot about how effective they will be. This question from Google is a fascinating way to reveal several characteristics about a candidate at once. Where have you tried to drive change and failed, and what would you have done differently? Learning how people talk about their mistakes can reveal humility, or lack of it, but it also makes people show their ability to self-reflect and change based on a mistake or falling short of their goal. Humility and self-reflection are both very different things and don't always go hand in hand. There is also the added benefit of learning how the candidate tried to handle change management in the past as well. Finally, we have a great question to evaluate leadership and initiative from Microsoft. They ask candidates to give an example of a time when they led a large program or initiative without direct authority. This is a tangible gauge of how driven someone is beyond them stating that they proactively do things without being asked, which should be the bare minimum if you are trying to find a great candidate for your position. I'll include the link to the whole edition so you can get the entire list of Justin's interview questions, because there were a lot more that you can steal that we didn't get to cover. And be sure to check out the newly rebranded Just Go Grind newsletter by signing up through the link in the show notes. The final newsletter of the episode is a debut on the show from Exit 5. They're a community for B2B marketers to grow their careers, and they share a wealth of marketing content. As they remind the world on their website, a lot of marketing education is focused on B2C tactics, but B2B is a different beast. I've enjoyed their newsletter that hits the inbox of over 30,000 marketers, and I'm excited to share one of their recent editions today. The edition we'll cover stood out in my inbox around internal communications for marketers, which has a lot of takeaways for founders and other departments as well. The Exit 5 team call out that for marketers especially, it's easy to do work in the background, where no one outside the department really knows what they do or the impact they have. For small companies, where the marketing team is the founder or maybe just one person, this might not be an issue. And for giant teams that have a director or CMO whose job is to communicate with the owner and C-suite, this might not be a big issue either. But for marketing teams in the middle ground of size, it can lead to leadership not valuing the department. The Exit 5 team caught up with Kandji CMO Sylvia Lepoidevin about how to avoid this, and she shared her weekly ritual of sending a company update from the marketing team. They send updates on campaigns that launched in the past week and a brief overview of what they are currently working on. According to Sylvia, the key is to make it highly visual, using text only when necessary, so that other team members can quickly scan it in their inbox and ask follow-up questions where necessary. At Kandji, this has led to internal Slack messages offering to help with these campaigns, instead of questioning what her team is working on. In a B2B environment, where a lot of products can be very technical, having support from software, engineering, or manufacturing teams are vital to creating highly technical marketing content. And this tactic has takeaways for businesses of any size. Many leaders and employees want to feel in the know on company news, especially when it's something externally facing like a marketing campaign. On top of that, internal updates like this can help create cross-role or cross-department collaboration on projects that might not have otherwise happened. A lot of companies, Tommy's Express included, even go as far as having internal podcasts focused on highlighting different roles and departments, so employees have a better idea of what everyone does. Whether you are a small internal department or a startup founder communicating big updates to partners or team members, a brief visual weekly email might be all you need to keep everyone on the same page. To recap our actionable takeaways from the episode, we discussed 3 ways to utilize people's desire to feel in control to sell more, including offering customization and options, updating copy to be heavily customer choice focused instead of commands, and offering personalized surveys that give seemingly custom results even if there truly aren't many options. We talked about interview questions from top tech companies to learn multiple characteristics about your candidates at once. And we looked at Kandji's CMO's habit of weekly visual emails to keep their business in the know about upcoming marketing campaigns. If you had a favorite section, please reach out. I'm trying to collect as much feedback as I can from listeners of the show. My contact information, as well as that of the Psychology of Marketing, Justin Gordon, and Exit 5 are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed the episode, it's 100% free to you to leave a rating on Spotify, or a thumbs up or subscribe on YouTube, or share it with a colleague or fellow business nerd who might enjoy it. It truly means a lot to me. Thanks for listening, as always, and we'll see you next time on the Business Newsletter Recap Podcast.